Welcome to Direct and Current, an audio broadcast presented by Electrical Business Magazine. I'm Anthony Capkun. The Electricity Distributors Association commissioned a survey of more than 2,000 Ontarians, and it reveals 82% of Ontarians are satisfied with their local electricity service, 89% of Ontarians trust their local utility, and 85% of Ontarians say investing in local grids is critical to keeping power reliable and safe as demand grows. Joining me now to help explain what these results mean for Ontario local distribution companies, their partners, and customers is Teresa Sarkesian, President and CEO of the Electricity Distributors Association. Now, Teresa, you join me here today to talk about the results of this survey and how they could apply to the broader audience of Electrical Business Magazine. But before we launch into it, can you tell me a little bit, who is the Electricity Distributors Association?
I think that's a great question to start with, Anthony, and thank you for having me here. So, the Electricity Distributors Association is an Ontario-based association. We represent all the electric utilities in Ontario. Most of our work involves policy and advocacy, policy development advocacy with government and our regulators as we try to promote and foster the business success of the LDCs in the province.
Excellent. Just wanted to make sure we had that stable footing before we launch into the questions that I have for you.
Great, thank you.
So, getting back to that survey. So, EDA's research shows Ontarians strongly back their utilities. How do you see this trust shaping their ability to invest in and expand the grid, say, over the next decade?
Mhm. Well, I think trust with customers is critical in securing future funding investments in the grid. We know that customers want their LDCs to make the critical investments to upgrade the grid, which the survey showed. And we know that it's important to maintain and invest in local electricity distribution grids to meet future and current demand. So, with the trust from the community, it's essentially almost like you have a social license to operate, that you have a mandate. So, I think the utility has an amazing starting point to have the conversations with their communities to explain when they need to make new investments, particularly some that might be more controversial, such as a construction of a transformer station, because we need that evidence that the public can support these investments when our members go before the Ontario Energy Board and are applying for their rate filings, because it's up to the Ontario Energy Board to actually approve the investments. And so, ideally, the trust will translate into public support for these essential infrastructure projects. And with that public support, the OEB will be more inclined to approve the needed infrastructure investment.
Now, Electrical Business Magazine's audience is involved in all facets of electrification. So, what role do you see, Teresa, for electrical contractors, electrical engineers, and manufacturers in helping electric utilities maintain reliability and that trust as demand grows?
Another great question on that. So, obviously, this goes without saying, but our utilities do not build their grids alone. They have many business relationships, collaborations, pilot projects, and those are actually growing in the sector as we look at the electrification, the need to modernize our grids as well. Just there's more companies popping up in Canada. There's more service providers. There's more innovations happening. So we really do think it's all hands on deck to build the grid of the future. Our members are looking for reliable partners to build long-term relationships with that can show, what I call basic results that, you can provide your services on time and on budget. But I think more importantly, as we go forward, we want to tell a better story to customers, how everybody who's involved in the building of our grid and how that grid actually is providing value to customers. We're excited at the EDA. We have over 100 commercial members that work with LDCs, but we know that there's many, many more service providers that are part of this broader energy ecosystem. And we all know that it's not sort of business as usual anymore. The olden days, and I'm oversimplifying it, but you kind of put up a pole and you string some wires and, with some, technology at the back end, you can deliver energy to customers. That's not where we're going to be going in the future. We're going to be looking at digital utilities. We're going to have to use AI more strategically, and we're looking to enable more activity behind the meter, such as distributed energy resources playing a role. So we need all kinds of new partners and business relationships. So I think that frankly that opportunities are everywhere for everybody in the energy ecosystem.
Well, I'm very glad to hear you say that. It confirms what I suspect, but it's great to hear you say it. And at the end, Teresa, I'm going to ask you about networking opportunities and where
Hmm.
partnerships and potential partnerships can be forged. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Another question I'd like to ask you is, we're in the realm of electrifying or trying to electrify everything. So with the electrification of transportation, heating. How are local distribution companies planning to ensure reliability while keeping costs manageable?
So, just a little bit of setting of the table and some context setting. When customers get their electricity bill every month, I think it's important to point out that only 22% of the bill is related to the charges from the distribution company. So there's another 78% of the bill that involves, reimbursing the generators and the transmitters, the regulators, and some other parties in the system. So we're responsible for 22% of the bill. That's not to say that we don't want to do everything we possibly can to manage costs. And our poll did show that the two top concerns for the public are reliability and also the cost of the system. So LDCs are very sensitive to these concerns from the public, and our sector sees opportunities to keeping costs manageable in a number of different ways. So, looking at more operational efficiencies through the use of strategic digital and AI investments might be able to help manage those costs. We'd also like to take advantage of some of the distributed energy resources behind the meter and allow for customers to engage in local energy markets with their distribution company. And that would offer them opportunities to monetize, whether it be their battery storage or the renewable generation behind the meter for some type of incentive. And that could help customers manage their costs as well. We'd also like to see the government triple down on conservation programs, so LDCs can provide more tools to customers so they can manage their own costs. And a last point, and we did see that there was a fairly strong plurality in our poll from customers when we asked them about like who should be paying for the investments in the future. And there's more of an interest now than there even was 3 years ago for the tax base to start taking on some of the costs of the grid growth that we're going to need.
I, I like you don't fool around, Teresa. Instead of doubling down on those conservation programs, you want to see tripling down.
Absolutely.
Very good, very good. Now, public opinion is supportive today, as shown by that survey. So, what are EDA's members doing to maintain and build upon that trust?
Mhm. Mhm. Well, our members do not take that trust for granted. Obviously, they're delighted by our survey results, but it takes a lot of work to maintain that trust. And they work every day in many different ways to maintain and build the trust with their community. I'm just going to give you a few examples. Obviously, keeping the lights on is job one for utilities. They maintain the system and do their best to restore power in a timely way when the lights go out, and sometimes in incredibly challenging and difficult weather conditions like ice storms. And unfortunately, we saw a couple of those hit our province this past year. Our members are actually engaging a lot more in social media today than, let's say, they were even doing 5 years ago. And they do a lot of push notifications to customers, whether it might be a billing reminder, it could be letting them know about outage issues, or when they might actually be doing a capital project work in their neighborhoods in case they have to, take out the power for a couple of hours. That's happened to me as well. So I had to, find other ways to work when the power was out, but at least they gave me plenty of notice. And our members also engage in the social vitality of their communities. This is our power of local hydro. Um, our utilities are very engaged in their local communities, whether it's helping with various social causes like fundraising for food banks. They're also very involved in community events and fairs and parades. And I think one of their favorite things that they like to do is help with the lighting of, Christmas trees at local city halls around the province. So they really are community partners. And I think, the conversation keeps expanding, and utilities are showcasing not just the basic service that they do, but they really want to demonstrate to the community the value that they provide and how those investments in the grid are going to provide value to the customers, not only today, but well into the future. So I think that's what they are trying to do to, keep building on that trust and to keep the conversation going and making sure that it's two-way.
And I think that also showcases to people, residents, community members, that these utilities they're also made up of people and community members.
Absolutely. I think, so many people basically live and work in the same communities or maybe in a neighboring community. So, the people that you run into at the grocery store or the movie theater, you will see the people that you're serving as well. So it's really terrific. It's one of the things I really enjoy. I go out to all my districts. Our districts have meetings all through September, and I just love going to different communities that I wouldn't normally, go to on a regular basis and just seeing kind of power of local hydro in action and how much their communities really value their utilities.
Indeed, indeed. Now, Ontarians, they believe utilities should be at the table when planning new infrastructure. I happen to agree with them. So, what does meaningful involvement look like?
So I want to make sure this is meaningful involvement by the utility with the government and the regulators, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So this, some days it's more meaningful than others, but effectively what we would like to see is making sure that before the government enacts any legislation or significant policies, that there are opportunities for input, and the opportunity may be very hands-on, could be government or the regulators setting up working groups that our utility members sit on to hammer out solutions to really complicated problems in terms of modernizing the grid and doing things differently. It could be also, simple things like providing opportunities for submission in advance. So, what you'll see from government is they'll often post, sometimes they'll post regulations and they'll allow for input from obviously the association and my industry members. We might have opportunities to appear before the legislature to comment on any tabling legislation. And sometimes, policies that are a little simpler, we always make sure that we provide input. So on any given year, Anthony, our association files between 45 and 50 submissions to government, our regulator, to make sure that our sector's voice is heard in shaping the grid infrastructure future.
I would hope that they actually come to see you and your members more frequently and say, even before we do anything, Teresa, what do you and your members think of this?
Well, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to suggest everything is just reactive. I don't want your readers to leave with that impression. There's also proactive, but opportunities where they do come to us. So, I want to make sure that that's reinforced. But I think it's incumbent on us as a sector to bring thought leadership to government so it helps them actually form the right questions to ask. And so when we prepared our Solving Gridlock paper in 2024, that was a big part of why we did that work. We really wanted to kind of help move the needle and help decision makers at Queen's Park and with the regulator, really start to come to us and say, well, hi, you've put together, a lot of very interesting recommendations. You have all these different issues, let's talk about this more. So, I think it is incumbent on sectors to bring thought leadership to government to help them because these are all very complicated questions. Every jurisdiction around the world is trying to grapple with the energy grid of the future and what does energy transformation look like. Ontario's, not alone in this regard. So I think it's helpful to, bring some thought leadership to the table as well in a proactive way. So we do that too.
Fair points, Teresa. Now here's the part where I'm sort of tying in the partnership and the networking that I mentioned or that came up earlier. So we see big opportunities, or where do you see the biggest opportunities for innovation in Ontario's grid? And what opportunities does this create for industry partners?
hmm Well, there's almost too many opportunities to list, so I'm just going to kind of tackle. No, I'm being serious. I'm going to tackle a couple of them. I'm going to kind of link it back to our poll. So one of the things that we found out from our poll was that 70% of Ontarians supported um, LDCs purchasing excess energies from customers' distributed energy resources. And obviously, this is going to support facilitating electrification and the energy transition. So I think all of that behind the meter activity and trying to enable that kind of two-way energy flow is probably one of the biggest opportunities going forward. And not only for the customer, but also for the utility, because while our members would like to enable using the distributed energy resources for all sorts of purposes, whether it be balancing the grid for emergency outages, but by monetizing those distributed energy resource behind the grid, the customer will benefit as well. But what that's going to take a lot of new technology. So the digital utility is already beginning to emerge. But we're going to be needing more investments in, distributed energy resource management systems and other systems to provide visibility. The other area that I think is really exciting, and I'm seeing our members already, they've been using AI, some of it's to just to enhance their kind of financial systems and their financial management at the utility and along with the billing. But they're now getting into more AI use to, look at ways to, for example, there's one story I saw recently where a company is using I guess it's almost like military grade satellite images to take very detailed pictures of the utility service territory as a tool for helping with vegetation management. So from these photos, you can see where there's maybe pest damage or there's just other damage to the trees. And then that helps you then target your vegetation management strategy because those are the trees that are most likely going to suffer limb loss in an ice storm and could create outages. So that's something I would have never imagined in a million years. So AI, I think, can really bring a lot of opportunity for innovation in the grid. So, I'm going to do my shameless promotion for our networking opportunities, but we have probably the biggest, I'd say, what I call LDC and their energy partners, which is all the what we call all the commercial entities and service providers and advisors that come to our show. And over 1,000 people attend this show every year, and we have a lot of commercial entities that exhibit. And in fact, this year we're expanding our exhibit floor, and we have more than 140 vendors that will be attending that show. And we also have 49 learning sessions. And I think what's really interesting in our learning sessions, Anthony, is it's not just LDCs talking at an audience. It's actually commercial members with an LDC partner talking about their solutions, their innovations, how they're improving the grid, how to do things better. It really is amazing just to see what I call that collaboration in action. And it's a very hotly attended event in January. And this year we're moving and we're going down to the Westin Harbor Castle in downtown Toronto. I'm really excited about the new venue and the fact that we've been able to grow our exhibit floor as well. So I think it's a really exciting time. As I mentioned earlier, I think the opportunities are really endless for all kinds of innovation and partnership going forward. And our members love to go out and see all the new technology and the new service providers that are coming into the Ontario market as well.
Excellent. So now the event that you mentioned that's happening in January, that's EDIST, correct?
Just yes,
EDIST 2026. So for
yes.
those who are interested in learning about how people are partnering, they want to network, they want to perhaps figure out how they could possibly become a partner to someone, this would be a good place for them.
100%. And we get people from pretty wide and far. I remember a couple of years ago, we had people from Nunavut that attended, and we've had people from Europe attend. And of course, our American friends attend in droves as well. So it's still kind of Canadian, I think, to the core, and but just a really great place to be. So I encourage all of your readers, look it up and see if it's the right place for you. And we've got, flexible passes too. If you don't want to come for the whole conference, we just have trade show pass and we also have daily passes. So there's something for everybody.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, Teresa. And one thing that I'm actually very pleased that you brought up is that while Electricity Distributors Association is Ontario based, this event, EDIST, in January, it's attended by numerous people outside of
Hmm.
Ontario.
In fact, I think even last year I was sort of surprised we had people in from BC Hydro and Quebec Hydro, Manitoba Hydro. I was like, wow, it's growing every year. So lots of new people to meet and network with, new business relationships to foster, maybe a libation or two. So it's a good time for all.
I like that. You just throw in that as a footnote, maybe some libation.
Yeah, well, some people, enjoy meeting people over, a beverage.
Fair enough, fair enough. Teresa, I really appreciate the time that you have spent with me today
Oh.
to learn a little bit more about the survey and how its results and how that trust factor can really, move things forward for Ontario's grid, for LDCs and their partners.
And of course, the customers. But thank you, Anthony, for your time today. I see this as a real privilege, so thank you.